They believed they could put a price on me. They believed they could put a price on Africa. They miscalculated. A few weeks ago, I received a message that shook me, not because of fear, but because of the arrogance it carried. It came wrapped in diplomatic formality, with all the seals and stamps that are supposed to impress a head of state. But when I opened it and read the contents, my blood boiled. This was not an offer of friendship. It was not aid. It was an attempt to buy my silence, to buy my loyalty, to buy the dignity of my people. The letter was a proposal worth more than our entire national budget. Billions of dollars, disguised as development assistance, but in truth nothing more than a bribe. The intention was clear. They wanted me to stop condemning their policies. They wanted me to soften my voice when I spoke about the suffering of the oppressed. They wanted me to become their salesman inside the African Union, to convince other leaders that we should look away while they crush another people. They wanted me to shield their corporations operating across Africa from scrutiny, to protect their networks of exploitation, to guarantee that their wealth extraction machine continued running without disturbance. And for that, they dangled more billions, thinking that money alone could erase our principles. I read that proposal once, then again, then again. Each time my eyes passed over those lines, the fire inside me burned hotter. With every repetition, it was as if they were spitting in the face of our history, mocking the blood that has been spilled for our freedom, mocking the sacrifices of those who came before us. They imagined they could reduce everything we have fought for into numbers typed on a piece of paper. They imagined they could measure our dignity in dollars and weigh our sovereignty against their bank accounts. What arrogance, what blindness. In their minds, I was just another man who stumbled into power, hungry for riches, desperate for recognition, ready to bow as long as the price was right. They thought I came here to wear the uniform, to sit in this chair, not to serve, but to deal in shadows. They thought I wanted the trappings of authority, not the responsibility of leadership. They thought I was like those before me, willing to trade the soul of a nation for a mansion, for a foreign bank account, for an invitation to dine with the very powers who exploit us. They thought I could be molded into a puppet, strings tied not to my people, but to foreign hands. A puppet, decorated with medals, praised in speeches, photographed in banquets, but hollow inside. Hollow because the spirit of independence would be gone. That is how they see us, men who fight, who rise, only to be tamed, dressed, and displayed. But they were wrong. They misjudged me. They misjudged the spirit of this revolution. I did not risk my life to sit comfortably while my people remained chained. I did not rise against corruption only to become its heir. I did not put my name in history's fire only to turn into the same ash as those who betrayed us before. I did not bury brothers. I did not look mothers in the eyes after their sons fell. I did not promise children that their future would be different, only to betray those words when the ink of a bribe stained my fingers. I am not that man. I will never be that man. I am a soldier. And what is a soldier? A soldier is someone who swears loyalty not to comfort, but to duty. A soldier is someone who carries scars, not as decorations, but as reminders. A soldier is someone who stands on the line between life and death, not for his own gain, but for the mission he serves. And my mission is clear, unshakable, carved into the very soil of Africa, the mission of liberation, the mission of sovereignty, the mission of dignity restored. A soldier does not abandon his mission for coins. A soldier does not trade the blood of martyrs for banknotes. A soldier does not bend his knee to those who would enslave his people. A soldier knows that his life is temporary, but his duty is eternal. And my duty, the duty I accepted the moment I stood with my people, is to guard Africa's right to stand tall, free from chains, free from humiliation, free from the endless cycle of exploitation. That letter they sent me was not just a proposal. It was a test. It was a mirror, placed in front of me to see whether I would betray myself. They wanted to know whether the revolution could be bought, and I answered. With every breath in my body, with every ounce of my will, I answered. This revolution is not for sale. Africa is not for sale. My loyalty is not measured in their currency. My loyalty belongs to my people, to their struggles, to their children, to their unborn generations who will inherit this land. So when I read that letter again and again, I was not just angry, I was awakened. I realized they have not understood us at all. They think time has erased our memory. They think we forgot how chains feel around our wrists, how whips sound on our backs, how foreign boots looked marching through our lands. They think the passage of years has numbed us, that the taste of betrayal no longer burns our tongues. They are wrong. We remember. I remember. And as long as I breathe, I will remind the world that this land and these people cannot be bought. When I took responsibility for Burkina Faso, I made a promise: no more foreign interference, no more tricks disguised as partnerships, no more exchanging our dignity for temporary comfort. That message was a test of whether I meant those words, and I answered. They underestimated me. They underestimated my people. They underestimated Africa. You, our people, you are me, you are me, you are you are. It was not only a letter. Soon after, envoys from neighboring capitals began arriving, advisors, so-called friends, intermediaries, all repeating the same refrain. They painted glowing pictures of new hospitals, modern airports, gleaming highways. They promised advanced weapons for our army, technology transfers, development projects that would transform Burkina Faso into a showcase of progress. But every story ended in the same demand: tone down your voice, stop defending the oppressed, stop challenging us. That is when I understood this was not an isolated gesture, it was a campaign. Carefully planned, well-financed, designed to test how much it would cost to make me compromise. They calculated wrong. So I decided to do what they never imagined I would dare. I took their letter, their so-called offer, and I held a press conference. In front of cameras, in front of journalists, in front of my people, I read it word for word. Every figure, every promise, every desperate attempt to keep Africa silent, I held it up and showed the world. You should have seen the shock. In their capital, panic spread. Their secret strategy was no longer secret. Their plan to quietly bribe Africa's silence was now front-page news. They had been exposed. But I was not finished. Standing there at that podium, I looked into the camera and spoke directly to the world. I told them what they did not want to hear: that they believe our honor has a price tag, that they think our leaders are commodities in the marketplace of global politics, that they imagine they can pay us to protect their wealth while our people starve. And I said, today we prove them wrong. The silence in that hall was heavy. Many journalists told me later they had never seen such a thing. A leader revealing a bribe in public, rejecting billions in broad daylight. That single act changed everything. Within hours, the phrase "Africa is not for sale" echoed across the continent, from Dakar to Dar es Salaam, from Kinshasa to Cairo. Young people flooded the streets and the internet with one message: Africa will not be bought. The dominoes fell quickly. Nations began reviewing contracts. Some recalled ambassadors, some suspended negotiations. Even those who usually never take sides were forced to stand with us because the moral clarity of that moment could not be ignored. And the reaction that truly terrified them was not from presidents or diplomats, it was from the youth. Students organized demonstrations demanding transparency. Young professionals launched campaigns exposing shady deals. Artists painted murals celebrating defiance. Across campuses and streets, a new movement emerged, calling themselves the uncompromised generation. They declared that no leader would again be allowed to sell Africa's future in exchange for personal gain. The foreign capitals responded as expected. In Tel Aviv and Paris and Washington, anger and confusion spread. Some cursed my name. Some tried damage control. Some began whispering in corridors, wondering if this was the beginning of a new era. Even the business community felt the shock. Mining firms, tech companies, agribusiness giants all trembled, fearing that their cozy deals with compliant leaders might collapse. Stocks dipped, contracts froze, lobbyists scrambled. But here's the truth. We are not against business, we are against exploitation. Companies that respect our people, our land, and our laws are welcome. Those who exploit, who pollute, who plunder, they must adapt or leave. This was bigger than a letter, bigger than Burkina Faso. This was a line drawn in history, because the Africa of today is not the Africa of yesterday. We are connected, we are educated, we see each other. When one of us rises, the others watch in real time. When one of us resists, the others are inspired. The old colonial playbook, secrecy, division, manipulation, no longer works. We understand the game, and we refuse to play by their rules. Yes, there was backlash. Aid packages were delayed, trade routes were disrupted, banking became complicated, intelligence agencies suddenly paid close attention to Burkina Faso, but something extraordinary happened too. African nations stepped in to help each other. Nigeria offered trade channels, Ghana provided financial alternatives, South Africa opened new diplomatic paths. We discovered a powerful truth. Africa helping Africa works better than any foreign assistance. 3 days later, I stood before thousands of students in Babo Dioulasso. I had no prepared notes, no polished script, no military ceremony to frame the moment. It was just me, standing there with my voice and my conviction, facing a sea of young faces burning with expectation. The auditorium was packed beyond its capacity. People stood shoulder to shoulder, crammed in the aisles, climbing onto windowsills, even hanging from the rail. The air was heavy with heat, with anticipation, with something electric that words can never fully capture. Some had traveled hundreds of kilometers, crossing borders, leaving their studies, leaving their families, just to hear a message of freedom spoken without filters. As I looked around that hall, I saw eyes wide open, hearts wide awake. I saw young men and women who carried notebooks, not to take notes for exams, but to capture a vision for the future. I saw banners scrawled with words like dignity, sovereignty, unity. I saw the uncompromised generation standing not as observers, but as participants in history. They were not waiting for me to perform. They were demanding truth. They were ready to receive something real, something unpolished, something that could fuel their determination. I began by telling them the story that had been told to generations before us, that Africans must remain silent in the face of injustice, that we must bow our heads while others step on our necks, that we should be grateful for scraps thrown from foreign tables, that we should say thank you when we are ignored, and clap when they exploit our resources as if they are doing us a favor. I reminded them how our leaders were conditioned to obey foreign masters, to fear confrontation, to measure progress by how much applause they received in foreign capitals. But then I stopped, and I looked them in the eye. I told them, that era is finished. That chapter is closed. That Africa will never again walk with its head bowed. And before I could even continue, the hall erupted. The students shouted, clapped, stamped their feet against the floor until the entire building trembled. Their roar was not just approval, it was hunger. Hunger for more, hunger for direction, hunger for the next step. They shouted back, what comes next? What do we do? How do we move from words to action? Their voices were urgent, restless, refusing to settle for inspiration alone. So I answered, not with poetry, not with dreams, but with a roadmap. I told them we will audit every deal signed in secret. We will expose every contract that sells Africa cheap. We will drag every hidden agreement into the light of day. And the hall exploded with thunderous applause because they knew transparency is the first step toward justice. I told them we will build our own networks, not networks of dependency, but networks of solidarity, that we will prioritize trading with each other, strengthening each other, before turning to those who come only to exploit us. I said, no more being isolated islands while foreigners divide and conquer. No, we will weave ourselves together into a single fabric of economic power. And their voices rose, chanting in unison, because they understood the power of unity. I said we will stop exporting raw materials that leave us poor while others grow rich. We will no longer dig gold, diamonds, bauxite, cocoa, uranium, and then ship them away only to buy them back at 10 times the price. No, we will build our own factories, our own refineries, our own industries. We will not just provide, we will produce. We will not just supply, we will manufacture. And when I said it, the students rose to their feet, fists in the air, because they saw themselves not just as employees of foreign companies, but as creators of African industries. I told them we will create African banks, banks that serve Africans and not foreign shareholders, banks that finance African dreams instead of draining them. We will create African universities that rival the best in the world, where knowledge is not imported but born from our soil, rooted in our culture, connected to our needs. We will launch African satellites, not to watch others dominate the skies, but to claim our place in them. We will build African medicines produced in African laboratories by African scientists to heal African bodies without begging pharmaceutical giants. We will advance African technology, developed not in borrowed garages, but in African hubs buzzing with creativity. With every sentence, the crowd grew louder. Their applause was not just noise, it was the heartbeat of a generation. Each word was fuel, each promise was oxygen. For the first time, many of them were hearing a leader speak not about dependency, but about self-reliance, not about begging, but about building. They were not listening to fantasies, they were listening to a practical plan. And as I watched their faces, I saw something remarkable. I saw recognition, I saw hope, I saw determination. They were not just inspired, they were ready to act. Their chants shook the walls, their unity shook the ground, and I knew in that moment that this was more than a speech. This was the beginning of something unstoppable. From that day, nothing remained the same. Leaders began calling me privately, asking how to follow this path. Some feared retaliation, some feared isolation, but I told them what I tell you now. Aid that comes with strings is not aid, it is control. Partnerships that demand our silence are not partnerships, they are chains. Fear is the greatest weapon they have used against us. But once we cast it aside, they are powerless. Western media tried to twist the story, saying Burkina Faso was isolating itself, escalating tensions. They missed the point. We are not isolated, we are connected to our people, to our principles, to our vision of the future. And that connection is stronger than their threats. Business elites panicked at first, but many quickly learned. Some renegotiated contracts, to be fair. Some invested in local communities. Some realized that true partnership is more profitable than exploitation. Transparency and justice are not enemies of business. They are foundations of stability. What began as a secret letter intended to buy silence ended up sparking a continental awakening. They tried to purchase one president. Instead, they awakened millions of Africans. They thought they could protect their empire. Instead, they exposed its weakness. And now the tide is turning. Civil society groups monitor every agreement. Unions demand fair wages. Stock markets stabilize as corruption is reduced. The rules of engagement have changed. Treat us with respect or do not treat with us at all. This is not about hatred. Do not mistake our firmness for bitterness. Do not confuse our resistance with hostility. We do not stand here fueled by anger against others. No, we are driven by love for ourselves. We are driven by the unshakable duty to protect what is ours. This is not about being against anyone. It is about being for Africa, for dignity, for sovereignty, for independence, for the right of our children to inherit a continent that is whole and free. And we love animals, our children, to be protected. So catch the car in your... We are not motivated by revenge. We do not wish to see others suffer as we have suffered. What we demand is simple. What we demand is just. Respect us as human beings. Respect us as equals. Respect us as nations with the same right to chart our future as you claim for yourselves. If you cannot do that, if you cannot see us as partners standing shoulder to shoulder, then step aside, because Africa will move forward with or without you. This is not hatred. This is clarity. We are tired of being told our only choices are submission or isolation. We are tired of being told that to resist exploitation is to be reckless, that to demand equality is to be radical, that to speak of sovereignty is to be dangerous. No, we are not dangerous. What is dangerous is a world that still believes Africans should be silent while they are robbed. What is dangerous is a system that still thinks our resources exist to feed foreign empires while our children starve. Understand this. Our demand is not complicated. We do not reject partnership. We reject subjugation. We do not reject cooperation. We reject exploitation. We do not reject friendship. We reject manipulation. If you come to Africa with honesty, if you come with fairness, if you come respecting our dignity, then you will find in us not only allies, but brothers and sisters. But if you come with deceit, if you come with bribes, if you come with the arrogance of masters approaching slaves, then you will find a wall of resistance stronger than you ever imagined. Respect us as equals, or watch us choose our own way. Respect our sovereignty, or watch us build it without you. Respect our independence, or watch us defend it against you, because the time when Africa could be bought is gone. The time when Africa could be threatened into silence is gone. The time when Africa could be treated as a child in need of guidance is gone. We are awake now. We are aware now. We are after that now, and we will never return to sleep. This is not hatred. It is love. Love for Africa. Love for dignity. Love for freedom. Love for a generation that refuses to be compromised. Our love is stronger than your bribes. Our unity is stronger than your threats. And our determination is stronger than your schemes. You can choose to walk beside us in equality, or you can watch us march past you without hesitation. Either way, Africa is moving forward, and nothing will stop us. The new generation is proving unstoppable. Young Africans are building companies, creating technologies, producing art that tells our story. They no longer wait for permission. They no longer beg for approval. They no longer dream of leaving. They dream of building right here on African soil. That is the true revolution. They wanted to silence me with billions. Instead, they gave me a louder voice. They wanted to keep Africa asleep. Instead, they awakened a generation. They wanted to buy loyalty. Instead, they bought resistance. They made a mistake, and we turned it into our victory. This struggle is not ending. It is only beginning. Every day, more voices rise. Every day, more chains break. Every day, Africa steps closer to the destiny we deserve. They thought Africa could be bought, but we are not for sale. Never were, never will be.